Hey everybody, I am Keaton of Kid Catholic, back for another video, and this is awesome. This is the Season 7 premiere. This is the 150th video of Kid Catholic. I haven't done those in forever. The 150th video, that's awesome. Today's video is going to be a fun one. It's going to be the 10 commandments, but what I really want to focus on for this video was go through each commandment and look at sort of the sins that fall under it. Because on the surface, commandments can seem pretty generic and seem like, oh, I haven't done that, so I'm fine. But there's actually a lot more to it than that. For example, the commandment, thou shalt not kill. We can think, oh, I haven't killed anybody, so I'm fine. But there's actually stuff that goes under that commandment, such as harming anyone in any way. So yeah, just things like that. I wanted to look at that. But to start off, I'm assuming most of us have heard of the Ten Commandments. It was given to Moses by God on Mount Sinai, we read in the Bible. And the first one is, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have false gods before me. Again, all of these on the surface seem easy. Thou shalt not have false gods before me. I don't worship other gods. I don't go and physically worship statues. I'm in the clear. But no, it's so much deeper than this. It's not just worshiping statues. It's having things take up time before God, right? Such as cell phones. Cell phones taking up more time than prayer. That falls under that sin. Distractions. Maybe not even cell phones. Distractions, movies, whatever it is. Whatever distractions that are keeping us from praying or that we are prioritizing over God, that falls under this commandment, having false gods before him. The next one is, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Now, it happens a lot, sadly, in today's world. A lot of people do so, but even if you haven't, there's still more that falls under this. This is complained or murmured against God to yourself. That falls under this sin. Insulted or made fun of a sacred person or object. That falls under this sin, right? And there's a lot of things that fall under all these commandments, so I'm not going to have time to read every single one, but that's just an idea that it actually goes deeper, and we sort of need to catch ourselves and realize what we are doing, because these commandments were literally given to us by God himself, right? So clearly it's important. Clearly it's necessary to follow these commandments, and so we need to look at the sins that fall under them, and not even the sins that fall under them, just if it's a sin in general, right? We need to be able to catch it. Another one, the third commandment, is keep holy the Lord's day. Of course, this means don't miss Mass. Don't miss Mass on Sundays. Keep holy the Lord's day. So don't do unnecessary servile work on Sundays, which is keeping holy the Lord's day. This is the Lord's day. It's a time for resting and prayer, but it also falls under it is not fasting when we are required to, whether that be during Lent, whether that be fasting an hour before receiving communion. Another one is not receiving the Eucharist reverently or fully. Honor your father and your mother. That's the fourth commandment. Now this one is not only obeying your father and mother, but obeying all authority. That includes the law, that includes police officers, that includes teachers. Obeying all authority also falls under this. Not only that, but so does not bringing peace into the home and not setting a good religious example for your family. That also falls under this. And so a lot of times we need to catch ourselves, and we can, even without realizing it, we can break the fourth commandment a lot more than we think. Now, this is the one that I use for the example, the fifth commandment, you shall not kill. Now, this is another one that seems super easy. Whoa, I haven't killed anybody. That's fine, I'm good on this one. But no, it means harming anyone in any way. Not only physically, but with words also. Because words do hurt too. So harming anyone physically or with words, that falls under this commandment of thou shalt not kill, and of course killing. So we should absolutely not do that. Now, the sixth one is you shall not commit adultery, and this is more of an adult one, and I have kids watching my channel. Really, the only sin that falls under this one that I can say on here is not dressing modestly. That falls under this commandment. Now, if you are an adult, then you can do some research to find it out, but because I have kids watching, I'm not going to get too much into this commandment. Now, the seventh one, you shall not steal. There's a lot that falls under this one. Not sharing with the poor, not wanting to share with the poor. That falls under this one. Something as simple as overcharging one, even little steals like that falls under this one, right? Because it's still a big deal. Even wasting time at work, home, or school, that falls under this commandment. of thou shalt not steal, because in a way that's stealing time. Number 8, you shall not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Obviously, it means what the commandment says, but it also means not to spread rumors about someone, not to think about someone negatively, not to lie. Things like that fall under this commandment as well. Not to gossip. If we've gossiped, that falls under this commandment. And too often in today's world, gossiping is actually kind of normal. You see it a ton in school. I know, I've gone to high school. It's a lot more normal than I expected, and it's not okay, and it literally breaks one of the 10 commandments that is given to us by the God of the universe. So we really need to catch ourselves, especially if you're a kid watching this, or especially a teenager watching this, then we need to catch ourselves anytime we can sort of catch ourselves doing that. You shall not covet thy neighbor's wife. There is nothing appropriate that I can say that falls. There are sins that fall under that. There's a lot of sins that fall under that, but I can say none of them on this channel, so I'm just going to skim over that one. Again, if you're an adult, then you can go and research and find it out. And last is you shall not covet thy neighbor's goods. This includes not being grateful for the things that you have, not being grateful for the materials that we have, right? Because sometimes we can take advantage of it, and especially living in America, we can take advantage of the things that we have access to or the things that we have, and then you go to other third world countries and they would kill to have that, right? So taking that for granted, that falls under this. There's also jealousy, envying something that someone else has, and then trying to be better than someone by bragging or buying more things. Even if we don't realize it, we can kind of catch ourselves and be like, why am I buying this, or why am I bragging? Oh, it's to one up another person. That's just some of the sins that fall under the 10 commandments, and too many of these sins that I listed are so common. They are so common in today's world. It's really, really sad. And a lot of these sins, it can sound like we've committed. Like, we read the original commandment, I'll use thou shalt not kill for an example. Like, we read that commandment, we're like, oh, I haven't killed, I'm good. And then we hear the sins that list under it, like maybe we have harmed someone with our words, right? And so we need to catch ourselves, and we need to really pay attention to what these 10 commandments truly tell us. And in some cases, you might be out here committing all of these, right? I don't know. But if that is the case, and this seems like a really hard thing to do, to like put away our distractions, like the first commandment tells us, not gossip, right? Like one of the commandments tells us. Do things like that. If that can seem hard, it's not going to happen overnight. And just like with everything in Catholicism, it comes back to building a relationship with God and becoming his best friend, because everything in Catholicism becomes easier when we are God's best friend, especially obeying these 10 commandments. And these 10 commandments are necessary to obey in order to get to heaven. Again, they were literally given to us by the God of the universe. And so anytime we catch ourselves committing one of these, some of these we might not even realize it, right? If we're judging people, right? Judging falls under one of those. If negative thoughts about people, we might be thinking negative about something, and we need to catch ourselves and snap out of it and realize that that's not okay. And we need to catch ourselves anytime we are breaking one of these 10 commandments, because it's necessary to follow. And we need to follow God and start building that relationship so that these 10 commandments become easier to follow. So, now that the topic is done, do y'all know what it's time for now? It's time for
the Saint of the Week!
And for today's Saint of the Week, I want to talk to you guys about Saint Albert the Great. Now, his story is absolutely awesome. He was a genius. In fact, he was so smart and studied theology so well that he became something called a Master of Theology, a title that very few people get. He was actually the first Dominican to ever get it, because he later joined the Dominican order after he had an encounter with the Blessed Mary, which is awesome. And so, yeah, he was a genius. He was amazing at theology. He actually taught theology at the University of Paris, where one of his students was St. Thomas Aquinas, which is awesome, because St. Thomas Aquinas is known for being the patron saint of students and like being a genius also. So that's awesome that St. Albert the Great taught him theology. And St. Thomas Aquinas actually ended up dying before St. Albert the Great did. And so St. Albert the Great spent his later life defending the works and defending the teachings of St. Thomas Aquinas, because after he died, a lot of people were like attaching his teachings. attacking his teachings. And so, yeah, St. Albert the Great defended that very, very well. St. Albert the Great wrote 68 volumes about a ton of things: geography, astronomy, family, love, friendship, Catholicism, everything you could think of. He wrote about it. It's awesome. It is awesome how smart he is. Yeah, anytime we feel like we're struggling with our knowledge of the faith, or even struggling with staying close to God in any way, because just like all the saints, if they've gotten to heaven, then they can help us so much, and St. Albert the Great can too, because you see by his story, he stayed so faithful. He was a master of theology. That's a very awesome, cool title to earn. And so, yeah, he was a genius. And so, anytime we feel like we're struggling believing, or we're struggling with our knowledge, because maybe we're struggling believing because we don't have enough knowledge, whatever it is, we need to pray through St. Albert the Great, because we don't pray to the saints. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. 150 videos. That just, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you guys so much for the continued support again. If you're new here, then please click the red subscribe button down below, and please share this channel and video with your friends and family. Make sure that they know about Kid Catholic. Check out my website, kidcatholic.com. On there, you can order your very own Kid Catholic t-shirt. Also, please check out all 3 of my social medias: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The link to all 3 of those will be in the description and in the comments below. Please comment any saint or topic suggestions that you might have, and I might just use it. This was Kid Catholic Season 7, Episode 1, which is awesome, Season 7. I will see y'all next week, and hi, Brielle!